bones, hair, sexuality, eroticism. These are some of the things associated with Mithu Sen's art. Mithu's art is about our deep inner desires and fears, and how we usually don't express our real selves because it's either buried inside us or because of external pressures. What Mithu's art is therefore doing is to encourage us to confront ourselves, have a dialogue with ourselves, and resolve ourselves. You're watching Art Talk. I'm Jujhar Singh. We're with the celebrated young artist, Mithu Sen. Mithu, very happy to have you on the show.
Thank you, Jujhar.
When I look at your work, it looks like you're really being a psychiatrist through your art.
I think I love provoking people, and I love to tease and subvert and try to make them a part of my experience, my journey, my practice. And
in which case, let me play psychiatrist with you first, because you grew up in West Bengal and you grew up with certain complexes. One of them was your complexion.
I was born in a beautiful Bengali family with a beautiful, beautiful looking Bengali mother with fair complexion. So that my sister, and when I was very young, like the festive season, I remember me and my sister were wearing a beautiful baby pink frock. And somehow I overheard that somebody is telling that pink is not my color.
Because he felt that you were dark and pink doesn't go with dark complexioned people.
Yes, exactly.
So you felt humiliated.
For some strange reason, I think since then the color pink was completely removed from my palette.
Later on, you went on to do a bachelor's in fine arts and a master's in fine arts from the Vishwabharati University in Shanti Niketan. You then moved to Delhi, and then there were some more complexes, some more suppressions that arose because of what you felt was the hierarchies in Delhi.
I was migrated to this huge, like 22 million people, 22,000 languages, and all those sort of hierarchy. They were social, regional, emotional, lingual. I think I started
You're very fluent in Bengali, you've been writing Bengali poetry, but you weren't very comfortable in English.
English or Hindi. I mean,
and you found in Delhi you need to know English to be in a certain sort of social circle, all of that.
Yeah. And it was not very violent or rude or arrogant, but it was very subtle, and which was hurting me most.
The reason I've asked about the complexes and suppressions you've grown up with is because this is what determines your art now. In fact, your art is now focused on marginalized people, marginalized emotions. What are the kind of marginalizations you're looking at in your art?
The whole humankind is marginalized by one way or another. So in terms of, sex, race, gender, religion.
Rich, poor.
Yeah, of course, economy and all.
A few minutes ago, we were talking about how one of your complexes, one of your suppressions growing up has been the color pink. And because that man said to you that, oh, people with dark complexions, they shouldn't wear pink. So you therefore did a series called I Hate Pink.
Yes, I did. I did.
And I'm picking on one of your works over there, which is very interesting. You show a very fancy pink chappal over there. And you've written all around the chappal, Buri nazar wale, tera muh kala.
Yes, yes. You usually see these chappals, behind a truck or a big vehicle. And it is so ironical for me when I used to see it, travel somewhere and, see in front of my, eyes, those chappals are hanging and saying something. And I started wondering that who they're addressing it to. And when I personalized that phrase into my life, I just thought I can make it completely autobiographical.
You were actually trying to reclaim the color pink for yourself.
That, yes, exactly. And I came back, and since then I started using pink, and you can see my work.
It's in most of your works now.
Yes.
But what's also interesting is that, you were telling this man that you remembered from your childhood that, I may be dark complexion, but tera muh kala hai. You were the black one.
Well, if I even subconsciously I say I did so, I didn't mean to.
And you were giving a chappal to him.
Oh, I don't. I'm not that rude, but maybe maybe it, subconsciously it worked like that. Maybe I wanted to say, it's kind of the, that revenge, inside me since childhood I was borrowing. It wanted to come out in some ways.
Mithu, a lot of your work focuses on gender, sexual suppressions and hypocrisies. So you have this series called Half Full, where you use yourself as a marker. There's a photo montage you've made, which is called MAP. You've put your face over a very muscular male body. What were you trying to show over there?
You know, the whole Half Full series was about that in-betweenness. You know, like the desire to becoming somebody else.
Everybody wants to be somebody else,
Somebody
so in some
else.
way like somebody else.
Yeah, and then we always find some emptiness and halfness inside us.
So it's like sometimes we could be smiling, but inside we are seething with anger or aggression.
Yeah, and you know, like lot of the faces in this series, the smiles are very mischief. So it's actually like a kind of very satire, and there is a humor, there is a irony, and there is a denial.
You have another work of yours called Perhaps You Won, where you put your face on the body of an old or elderly lady.
You know, I always try to play myself into other, or try to play or morphed one kind of identity into another.
You're trying to show the multiple identities of people here.
Yeah, multiple identities in oneself.
You might be an elderly person but feeling young, or you might be young but feeling like an elderly person.
Or it can be just like teasing, you know, like you are teasing, you know, like disguising with a different body, you know, like your young mind or your young eyes are flirting. It's quite flirtatious. It's kind of, you know, it is playing a role.
You're actually provoking your viewers with these works of yours, and therefore you're forcing them to look within.
When I do something which is kind of forbidden in our society, in our life, which are tabooed, which gives a kind of uncomfort to my viewer, but still they cannot deny themselves from that very part of, you know, looking at it.
You've also used some body parts in your work, like hair and blood and false teeth. Why do you use these parts?
I specifically choose some body parts which doesn't have a particular identity of gender or sex or age. So if I pick up teeth or hair or blood, they have a fundamental, you know, kind of unit of human being, you know, like as a part of a human body, you know, because my mission is to communicate through some kind of metaphors.
Let's look at some of your works where you've actually used teeth, false teeth. So you've got this one work where you've got these high-heeled boots and they are split by these terrifying dentures and teeth.
Yes, you know, it is quite a violent work, you know, like if you see and if you just imagine what happened to that shoe, and a shoe, a high heel boot, you know, particularly specify a certain kind of society and status, you know, and then it's kind of cut half, and it also shows like a mouth, you know, like, or maybe two mouths, you know, like kind of trying to eat each other.
So it could be about the pleasure of wearing boots or high heels, for example, but it could also be about the social pressures of the same.
Yes, yeah.
And then you've got a work called Banana Couple. You've got these dentures which look like bananas.
Yeah, that was mainly made for thinking of my very close gay friend and his partner. It denotes the idea of homosexuality. When a man loves another man, it becomes a taboo. It becomes like it is forbidden, and I just feel like how unfair it is.
So you're actually showing passion, but you're also showing fear.
Passion, emotions. It's a human emotion.
You're also showing fear.
Yeah, and fear because of the social pressure.
Mithu, you've got this one very interesting work now. It's called Border Unseen. It's an 82 feet long sculpture. You've made it of dental polymer and acrylic teeth.
I was invited for a solo show in a huge, gigantic Zaha Hadid designed museum in America. I created one line which started from the ceiling and ended in the on the floor, and it's nearly 30 meters, like more than 80 feet long.
You've actually divided the space with this line.
Yes,
right?
with the line I divided the space, and also.
So in some way you're also trying to show the many divisions that we create amongst ourselves.
Oh, of course, yeah. So like the basic idea was to you know, like highlight that, like the division between us, and therefore all these marginal areas comes into my practice.
So in this work, by the way you've displayed it and by the way you invite people to view it, you're actually inviting them to cross the boundaries.
Yes,
cross the division.
The audience are invited and provoked to walk through, to touch or to smell, all the human sensory,
to walk through, you mean walk underneath your sculpture or walk over it, where it's at a low level.
Yes, yes.
And cross those boundaries that we've created amongst ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
Mithu, there's one thing about your style of work which runs through not just this work, but most of your works, which is that, your works are grotesque, but they're pretty as well. Your works play with dark humor, but they're playful as well.
I think, what my visual aesthetics or visual politics do in my practice is just to poke my audience, and tease my audience and ask them to contemplate that kind of hybrid nature within us.
Mithu, you've also used spaces, physical spaces, and converted them into art spaces. So for example, you were invited by the Code Studio in Delhi to make some art on their blank walls. What did you do?
Any kind of exhibition space or the institutional space excites me, provokes me and challenges me. In that particular work called Foreplay, I was trying to just imagine that room, that concrete, room.
The walls.
The walls are like a human body, maybe my lover, whom I want to play with, but who is over, like burdened by, layers of pains in his body. So what I tried, just to peel out all those layers with my little fingers, with nails, with some domestic spoons or forks.
Looking at the wall like a body, you started chipping away at the walls.
Yes, and taking off all those, like the layers of paints, like, our clothes. And I tried to just get inside, go into, like, the core body, to the blood, to the flesh, so just wanted to reach there and just take off all the clothes and that, like your outer outfits or whatever you say, like, to make a coat.
So it is again about your attempt to dig away from the exterior pretensions and layers that we all have and complexities and go to the core, go to the inside of people.
Yeah, this is that more, like.
And the wall was the metaphor for the person, for the body.
Yes, yes.
And that was your work of art.
Okay, I don't know, that is life.
It's incredible, it's really interesting. There was another occasion where you used a simple ordinary space and turned it into an art space. You were invited by a gallery in Chelsea, New York, to come over there in a residency, to stay in an apartment, create some works of art, which would then be exhibited in their gallery. Yes. You turned it upside down.
Yeah, because, like staying in Chelsea in a 3,000 square feet apartment, studio apartment, for 3 months and all alone was quite a boring thing for me. So what I did from the very beginning of my staying there, I put a notice on the board, on the door, that if anybody can just come up and share some moments with me and interact and talk and have drinks.
Say hello.
And say hello.
Strangers.
The strangers.
And then how did you use that as a work of art? Because that's what you did.
Because, like I was trying to go through an interesting aspects of our life, that guest host hospitality and tolerance. So I was trying to see that radical hospitality, how it really works when we are in a foreign land.
So you actually use the wine glasses that you may have shared with these people who just walked in to talk to you, and the half-eaten food, you made them into objects of art.
Yes.
You took selfies with these people as well.
Yes, in
made
2006.
A collage.
Yes,
and,
2006.
And that became a work of art.
Yeah, because everything, because I was that time during that, like a huge art booming in Indian art market or, worldwide. I just tried to also play with the market, like I tried to mock the market, how an artist can make everything a work of art.
The other thing you started doing was you started converting the domestic objects inside the apartment into art objects, like the pillows on your bed. converting this whole apartment into an art space. You then made that your exhibition. You refused to put up a separate exhibition in the gallery, which you were expected to
because,
do.
And
on the opening night in your apartment, you disappeared.
I disappeared.
Why did you do that?
I didn't want to interrupt between my artworks and my audience, my viewer, because that apartment was open, and the viewers, the audience were allowed to, open everything. They had full freedom to, use my bedroom, use my toilet, open my cupboard, see my wardrobes. And there was a challenge to my audience whether they should really, go ahead with that kind of provocations or not.
One other interesting thing you did over there was you did actually make some drawings, but you put up those drawings in hangers.
Well, I just wanted to, domestify all those artworks as as a cloth, I mean.
Let's just look at those drawings you actually made in that apartment exhibition of yours. Most of the images you made were skeletal creatures. There was a little bit of blood over there as well. Why did you do that?
In general, I use skeleton and, the bones and, human body parts as again, the fundamental unit of human being. And skeletons are also the fundamental structure of a body. It doesn't have the layers of, kind of color or
you were again trying to remove the outer layers, and get to the core, the common core.
The common core, it only has.
And the skeleton is common between
every human
being. It doesn't
decide any kind of race, sex, gender. It is a structure. It is a very, very fundamental infrastructure.
Mithu, let's take a short break now. When we come back, I know you found another way to get into the subconscious core, and that is through sonic or audio art. We'll talk about that after a very short break. One of the leading contemporary artists of India, Mithu Sen, remains on Art Talk. Welcome back. You're watching Art Talk with me, Jujhar Singh. We're with the very highly acclaimed young contemporary artist, Mithu Sen. Mithu, you've done another series of work called I'm a Poet, where you've written poetry, but in gibberish.
Yeah.
What were you doing over there?
When I was migrated to Delhi and I wanted to be a poet in my own mother tongue, and I started losing that Bengali words. And in one point, I found myself in a complete void. This lingual void left me in a huge kind of depression. After many years, nearly just a few years back, I again started challenging myself if I can, get back those words in my life. And by that time, I was using computer a lot. I downloaded some Bengali font in my Mac computer, and I started writing. And when I write, I'm in a complete trance. I don't even look at the screens. I was writing, and I thought I'm writing a poetry. And when I look at the screen, it shocked me because I could not read those lines which I just created. So
you're writing gibberish.
I was writing gibberish. I didn't mean to write gibberish. I was writing a poetry, but it came with these computer glitches. It came with some kind of strange signage and abstract kind of forms. This time, I did not stop myself, I just thought I would continue because they are poetries. They existed. They were born. So I wanted to.
Something was coming out.
Something was coming out.
You could make sense of it.
I can.
But something was coming out from inside you.
From inside, and I wanted to validate and acknowledge those moments.
So it could have been your subconscious coming out.
Yes, yes.
In gibberish form.
Yes. And I published that book with the same publisher I had my book published 10 years back in Calcutta.
You actually published a book of gibberish poems.
Gibberish poetries. And then
what did you do with that?
I published that book, and then there was a wonderful project in Tate Modern London. I invited people to read this book, and there was a recorder.
Read the book.
Read the book.
Read gibberish.
Yes, and I
What
performed.
would they read?
What they read? They read their subconscious. They read their emotions. They read their feelings.
How did you read this book of gibberish?
Well, I just read like I'm talking to you, like iba alekam did dudila hasne. Dil oh senaba oh te in the slicken bur illa kasto dribbi man dream drillagastram badla trick oh dene kitlika shika indivishi. So does it make any sense to you? Maybe not. Does it make any sense when a Korean poet reads a poetry to me? So what language means
But
to
whatever it is inside of you at this time was just coming out.
Yes.
Your subconscious coming out in a gibberish form.
Yeah.
So you made people reading the book, coming to your exhibition, actually read the gibberish.
Yes.
Did they feel better after doing it?
I didn't interview them, but I'm sure I have some kind of confidence, at least for that moment, they release themselves. And the releasing is like, a part of our life, and it should be a practice. We should release ourselves. And that is a drawing to me also in a very broad sense.
Mithu, your entire art appears to be about peeling the outer layers and reaching the core, being true to oneself.
Yes, that is like my way of expressing my ideas. And these ideas are not only visual, it must be kind of felt and experienced.
Well, Mithu, your mind works very differently and therefore you come out with unique art. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jujhar. Thank you.